Our story begins in the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state of Massachusetts. Did I mention it is beautiful?
I know all about it. I lived in my time in this state. I thought it a refuge. Now, not so much. Allow me to introduce myself. Charles Fallen.
Hey, is this my cue?
Not yet, not yet. We're not there yet.
Can we get on with things? I, for one, am ready for my big introduction.
As I was saying, in the fair and lovely state of Massachusetts, did I say fair?
Several times. Sometimes I worry that you Americans are quite limited in your vocabulary.
Now, I can sparkle and glitter and even do a little soft shoe.
Good grief! We have hardly introduced the story at all. I want to be clear that in Massachusetts, we believe in order.
In Germany as well. Germany is my native land, whose customs I have sought to bring with me to this new world.
Hold it right there. That is the issue. We do not want the return of the problems of keeping Christmas. It's what we Puritans must always fight against.
Keeping Christmas? I had no idea anyone was planning on giving it away.
Stop! Just stop! We are going to do this in an orderly way.
Just what I was saying, and I am quite ready with my introduction. I want to make sure the timing is right, and here I go. Since we are apparently proceeding without direction, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Charles Fallen. I am a poet renowned in Germany, the first to teach German, however briefly, at Harvard University, and a Unitarian active in the cause of abolition, here to help to rid this nation of the scourge of slavery.
There are things before that. I have to set the scene.
My dear, I think that boat has sailed. Let's just get on with it.
What year is it, anyway?
Our story is set in the year 1832, a time when, just as now, the world seemed in need of a little more magic.
Did somebody say magic? Get in line. They aren't even ready for me yet.
We need to get on to the substance of the story. There is a whole theme about justice that I haven't yet even spoken about. I am Harriet Martineau, by the way, a journalist from across the Atlantic, also working on the great cause of abolition. I come to write the stories and spread the news of this great cause across the world.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, in the admiral state of
Massachusetts.
Well, yes, there. The celebration of Christmas was frowned upon by the powers that be, the religious authorities who wanted to separate the story of the birth of Jesus from the customs of the time, which included wild festivals and parties in the streets. It was, in fact, a crime to engage in Christmas cheer for a time in the 1600s.
As well it should be. This is a solemn season worthy of the celebration of our Savior. We have worked hard in this new world to have a proper observance without all that excessive carousing.
Carousing? That would sound like fun.
Ahem. As I was saying, they wanted to bring order and dignity to the communities, and they did not want to continue this custom, which was full of revelry. In fact, the custom was that during the Christmas season, the working people could enter into the streets and into the houses of the wealthy people and demand a drink.
Right there, you see what the issue is. Spirits plus carousing and the language, and on an occasion that's supposed to celebrate our dear Jesus' birth.
Well, though we all know that it is impossible to know when Jesus was born. If you had not wanted carousing, you might not have wanted to put the celebration of his birth right on top of the pagan festivals and the Saturnalian traditions which accompany them.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you read your scriptures?
Of course. And I think there is much more support for the work I do, abolishing slavery and establishing the kingdom of heaven, than there is for the approach you promote.
Wait! We are getting into the story when I haven't even set the stage.
Well, get on with it then.
As I was saying, this is the story of the almost first Christmas tree. And this story begins in Massachusetts, where, as it might have been mentioned, it was once a crime to celebrate Christmas anywhere but in church. And it was boring for children. People wanted the holiday to be more fun, more magical.
This is my part. This is where I come in. Allow me to introduce myself. Charles Fallon. My son Charlie was the reason I brought the Christmas tree to this nation.
This is exactly what we feared would happen.
It begins in 1835. My little son Charlie was sad when we moved here from Germany. He missed the way we celebrated Christmas, where it was not a crime or a social atrocity to keep Christmas. I feel badly for Charlie. He's here because I was so outspoken about slavery and how it must be abolished. And this got me in trouble, and my whole family was forced to move across an ocean. And here we are again, in trouble on this side of the ocean.
Where there is no magic?
Did somebody say magic? I can make this dog disappear.
Oh, another would-be carouser. The hoodlums would take to the streets, making all kinds of trouble.
How about me? Anybody? Wasn't this supposed to be about me? Aren't I supposed to be the star?
I think we should just get to the main event. Charles, Harriet?
Miss Martineau, we are honored to have a famous writer like you with us. You write so well about so many things, the rights of women and the rights of slaves, for example.
Why, thank you, Mr. Fallon. Please call me Harriet. As you know, I write for an English audience, and I am very interested in learning more about what it is happening here in your new country, the United States.
We have both been brought to new places by the same journey, it seems.
Yes, fighting for the rights of slaves. That fight has cost me much. They will not publish what I write, you know.
Fighting to end the horror of slavery has cost me my country. And now we are here, and poor Charlie is so out of sorts for this country, is so glum about the Christmas holiday.
I had heard that, though friends tell me it wasn't always this way. It seems the Puritans in Massachusetts are not much for the cheer that is needed in the dreary winter days. Well, to tell the truth, I hear they're not much for cheer most times of the year. Except now they have gone and outlawed any celebration of Christmas, except in the most solemn of church services.
And they are making sure those church services are as dreary as the days. No celebrating, just praying. I'm a minister, and I will pray as much as the next chap, and yet they just seem to be making it all so blah. I am very sad for the children.
Boring Christmas. Well, at least there are presents.
Absolutely not.
Are you kidding me?
I hear that some Unitarians, such as yourself, seek ways to be merry.
Please?
Of course we do. I can't understand what those Puritans are after. Do they fear joy?
Yes, they need to free the spirit as much as the slaves. I've heard that Henry Thoreau's family hangs stockings by the fireplace, which they expect to be filled with sweets and treats by the elf they call Santa Claus.
An elf. Now that is the sort of thing that would cheer little Charlie in his first Christmas so far from home. We could hang such stockings at the foot of the beds.
I would hang them by the chimney.
Oh, the chimney. Why, that is very jolly. And that reminds me of something else that is quite merry, which we did in Germany. Wait, and I will show it to you and surprise young Charlie and his friends.
And then Charles Fallon did something that quite delighted his friend, the famous journalist Harriet Martineau. He went outside and selected an evergreen bush to bring in the house. Then he and his wife busied themselves covering it with candles and tying sweets onto its branches.
Oh, it's so beautiful. beautiful. Its beauty is all over the place. It could inspire a song.
And it will.
And while Charles Follen decorated the evergreen bush, he talked to his friend Harriet about the cause they both had in common. Wow. Did I actually get through that whole sentence uninterrupted? That must have been magical.
Pick a card, any card.
Card playing, I fear what will come of this.
You fear a lot of things.
If you want to be afraid, speak out against slavery in a culture that depends upon it. It seems that even the Unitarians of Harvard University are not sure how they feel about my abolitionist work. They took away my job teaching there.
And me, I cannot find anyone who will publish my work for fear I will write more about the need to be rid of slavery once and for all. Still, you have lost so much more. First your country, and now your new job, and here it is only a few weeks before Christmas.
At least you have me.
Yes, a beautiful and hope-inspiring tree.
I guess we always need that, don't we?
A place to put presents?
No. Hope.
Yes, my family and I do need hope. We have paid over and over for my insistence on speaking the truth about slavery. Oh well, I would not choose differently. Slavery must be ended. Enough sadness. The tree is done, and I think Charlie and his friends will like it.
Oh, it is magical.
Oh, it is beautiful. I must write a story about it, and we can decorate these and use them at our anti-slavery fairs.
An excellent plan and a cunning strategy. They will see that this is a living story of hope.
I am inspiring, aren't I?
They say we are rude because we call for the end of treating other humans as slaves. And yet Jesus' message was one for the least of these.
Surely he didn't mean...
Surely he did. I will continue to fight slavery no matter the cost to me and my family.
Let me write this. I was present at the introduction into the new country of the German Christmas tree. Those who see the Christmas trees will be captivated by their beauty. However, be warned, persons are requested not to handle the articles, which, like slavery, are too delicate to be touched. I believe the Christmas tree must surely become a tradition in this new country.
So, it was a Unitarian home that this tree was first made?
Well, maybe it wasn't the absolute first, but thanks to Harriet Martineau and her journalism, it was the best known. Part of the effort to be more jolly at Christmas time and to make things more fun for the children.
Presents are always fun.
Well, they were part of our Unitarian ancestors wanted too. They wanted Christmas to be about the children, focused on the joy of the children.
Presents do bring joy. No, I mean the part that Christmas is about the birth of Jesus. And he talked a lot about how all people could know God, and he didn't care about how poor or dirty they were, and how much others looked down on them.
Good point.
I think he would have been working alongside Mr. Follen and Miss Manitou to free the slaves.
I think you are right.
Is that the end of the story?
Yes. How did I do?
You? What about me? I am in the title role.
Oh, Christmas tree.
You can say that again.
You know, this has been magical.
Want to see a trick? I can change this card's color.
Well, that is kind of impressive.
Yes, it is.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed.
Let's take a moment and thank everyone who was in our drama today. So this is what I want to know. Does anyone else besides me ever sneak out late at night to see the Christmas tree lights after everyone else is asleep? Anyone? Thank you. Thank you. I knew I had my people out there. Now, I'm not talking, I want to be really clear about the people that sneak out in the middle of the night to squeeze the presents. That's a whole different thing. I'm talking about after Christmas, when that part is done, the presents have been opened, but the magic of the tree is still there. It's such a special and lovely time there, and it's something that, for me at least, seems to hold hope and promise like nothing else. You know, the story that we've just heard is really the story of the almost first Christmas tree, because truth be told, the Follens were probably not the absolutely first to light a tree, but it's the one that was remembered because Harriet Martineau wrote about it. She's called the mother of sociologists and people who study how people are together, and she was born a British Unitarian, and she wanted people to understand how to be better together, and that was not, as you heard, easy work. She believed that the best societies were the ones that, as Jesus said, where those with the least power were treated the best. And because everyone didn't share her views, she particularly needed hope. So Charles Follen and his wife Eliza also, they needed joy. As you could hear of his immigration to America, it was not always perfect. His father wrote him in a letter soon after he left, "God be praised, you have gone from a part of the world where your opinion is a crime." And his opinion would prove not to be a crime, but still too much for the establishment of Harvard, which would take away his job for speaking up about what he believed. He believed that he had to tell the truth. And because of that, perhaps the Christmas tree lights weren't really for little Charlie Follen. Perhaps they were to lift the spirit of the parents who paid such a cost for believing that the world could be better than it is. So we are ending this year in a troubled world where we, as people of good faith, can't help but hope that the world can be better than it is. So we too need the color, the lights, and the joy. And we remember that our Christmas tree came to us, of course, from those deep pagan traditions of our world, which remembered that in this, the darkest time of the year, when the days are shortest, we most need light. So as we finish that today, as we finish this part of our celebration, I want us to engage in that which is part of that tradition, which is making, for just a moment, as much noise as we can to welcome back the light. So if you can clap or hoot or whistle or jangle your keys, let's do it all on the count of 3, and let us do it knowing that light will return. 1, 2, 3.